Dr. Sharma, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Datta has not joined us yet, I believe.
He has come just now. He has come.
Acha.
Good evening, Mr. Doctor.
Oh, good evening, good evening. Okay. Mr. Daspal, good evening. Mr. D.P. Sinha, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, sir.
শিবদা কেমন আছেন? গৌতম বলছি।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আরে ভালো, ঠিক আছি। কেমন আছে আপনি?
ভালো।
হ্যাঁ,
দীপিকা কেমন আছেন? গৌতম বলছি।
ভালো আছি।
এখন কোথায়? ব্যাঙ্গালোরেই?
হ্যাঁ, ব্যাঙ্গালোরেই আছি।
ও, কবে আসবেন?
আজকে তো রেকর্ড পার্টিসিপেশন নাকি?
দেখা যাক।
হ্যাঁ, দেখা যাক। ভালো। রেজিস্ট্রেশন ওয়াইজ ডেফিনেটলি রেকর্ড, বাট দেখা যাক কজন জয়েন করে আলটিমেটলি। কিন্তু এটা একটা ইন্ডিকেশন যে শুরু হওয়ার 5-10 দিন আগে অনেকেই জয়েন করবে। এক্স্যাক্টলি, এক্স্যাক্টলি। ঠিক আছে, সময় মতো শুরু করে দাও। Well, it is now 5 past 5. With the permission of Dr. Sharma and Mr. Datta, if you are ready, can we start the session?
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. Before we start this session, I have two announcements. One is we have 488 registrations for this particular event, which is an all-time record for CSI Kolkata chapter. And secondly, this entire technical support, we are availing the service of Holdia Institute of Technology. And I have no hesitation in saying that Dr. Tarun Kumar Ghosh, who is also a managing committee member of Computer Society of India Kolkata chapter, he has kindly agreed to provide all technical support for this event. As you know that there is a restrictions in number of registrations for Google Meet. So we are using a license of 250 and the balance we are providing support through YouTube. The YouTube registration the YouTube link has been activated and it has been made to all the participants. My request to all of you, those who are entering into the system or just getting admitted, in case at any point of time you find that you are not in a position to get admitted at Google Meet, kindly use the second link which I have already mailed half an hour back. That is a YouTube link and you can join in the YouTube. Last time, the last event that we had a month back, we had around 277 registrations, and I'm sure that in the coming days, as we progress further, we will be reaching new heights. And I must thank all my committee members and all the students community, the academic community, the faculty members, corporates, and all the government officials who are joining us today for this important session. Today I am acting as a moderator for this program, and my main task will be to introduce you about the topics and its importance, then to talk about NCIIEC, and last but not the least, I will introduce the speakers. After that, I will take 10 minutes of your time to complete the entire session, and then we have kept 45 minutes for the main discussions. Now, this particular webinar has been designed in a slightly different way as compared to the conventional webinars that we normally organize, where we have PowerPoint presentations, and we all watch that PowerPoint presentations. Now here what we have done, we have gone for a blended mode. So what I have done, that there will be a very small presentation from the from the two speakers, and there will be an interactive session. So more of a question answer session, and at the end I will open the floor for questions. So this is how we have planned for this entire event. Although you know that the conventional mode of webinar is through PowerPoint presentations, but in most of the professional events, both within the country and across the country, this is a very upcoming trend, and all the major chamber of commerce, they are also adopting this practice. So we are trying to innovate, we are trying to adopt new technologies, we are trying to adopt new systems and processes, and this is one step that we have approached, that we have taken for this particular webinar. I think more than 125 or 120 people have already joined, and I think we should not wait any further because we have some exciting sessions ahead. Just to give you a brief introduction, I will just tell you that why this program has been organized, and we have been talking with the two speakers of the Government of India for the last 1.5 months as to what we should do. We have heard plenty from the private sectors, the academic sectors, and from other sectors also. But we want to hear from the government sector, from the core Government of India officials as to what they are thinking and what is their plan and what they are planning to do in the coming days. To start with, I would like to say that with the advancement of convergent communication technologies and shared information systems in India, critical sectors are becoming more dependent on their critical information infrastructures, and we popularly call them as CIIs. These CIIs are interconnected, interdependent, complex, and distributed across various geographical locations. Various inherent threats exist to CIIs, ranging from terrorist attack to an organized crimes to espionage, malicious cyber activities, which are growing rapidly. Protection of CIIs and hence CIs of the nation is the one of the paramount concern of the government of India. Friends, to be very frank and honest with you, this was the idea that uh, we would like to identify an organization, an entity, which is primarily focusing on this particular area. So, National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center, popularly called as NCIIPC, is an organization of the Government of India created under Section 70A of the Information Technology Act 2000 through a gazette notification on 16th Jan 2014. It is designated as the National Nodal Agency in respect of critical information infrastructure protection. The Information Technology Act defines critical information infrastructure as those computer resources, the incapacitation or destruction of which shall have debilitating impact on national security, economy, public health, or safety. NCIPC has broadly identified the following as critical sectors: power and energy, banking, financial services and insurance, telecom, transport, government, strategic and public enterprises. NCIIPC runs a number of programs to engage with stakeholders. Some of them are as follows: Responsible Vulnerability Disclosure Program, Incident Response Program, Malware Reporting, and Internship Courses. Friends, although we have learned a little bit about NCIIPC, and I'm sure in the coming session our two speakers will be talking about in detail, let me share that NCIIPC is driven by its mission to take all necessary measures to facilitate protection of critical information infrastructure from unauthorized access, modification, use, disclosure, disruption, incapacitation, or destruction through coherent coordination, synergy, and raising information security awareness among all stakeholders, and with a vision to facilitate safe, secure, and resilient information infrastructure for critical sectors in the country. So briefly now we have understood what exactly is NCIIPC, which is nothing but a unit under which is a unit under NTRO. NTRO, we all know that National Technical Research Organization, a very famous organization. Those of us who are working in this particular field, they all know about NTRO. So now I will take you to a brief introduction about the speakers, and let me tell you first. Let me introduce Dr. Piyush Sharma, Director, Eastern Zone, NCIIPC, Government of India. Dr. Piyush Sharma has 15 years of experience in telecommunications sector and its security. He has experience in Android, cyber attacks, and security and malware analysis. He completed his MTech degree from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, and doctorate from Ansar University, Haryana. He is a life member of Computer Society of India. The next man, Mr. Tathavata Dotto, Additional Director, Eastern Zone, NCIIPC, Government of India. Tathavata Dotto is having 22 plus years of industry experience in the domain of information security. His forte encompasses information security audit, cyber risk assessment, forensic analysis, and strategic planning. He has conducted cybersecurity audits of critical infrastructures of BOE, BFSI, and other strategic sectors, not only in India but also beyond boundaries in Europe, Southeast Asia, and UAE. With this brief introduction, we will proceed to the session directly, and we will start with a question answer session. And the first question, I think this is time that we all have an interactive session with the two speakers. As you all know that when we talk about security, we normally mean security in the border areas, where the security people are sitting there with their guns and ammunition, and that they are protecting the borders. But I understand that this is something different that we are going to discuss today. My first question to Mr. Datta: what is national critical infrastructure? If you could kindly explain in detail, Mr. Datta.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty, for the introduction. And first of all, I would like to extend uh, our thanks on behalf of NCIPC to all respected participants and Computer Society of India Calcutta chapter for giving us a scope or a platform to share the perspective of government. Because in the current scenario, the technologies are available. There are people who are guiding process-wise or adopting good practices. But the main challenge that uh, we are facing as a nation, that the awareness of the people, and these kind of programs always help us, or any organization, be it government or semi-government umbrella, to to bring the clarity, or to help people know what is going on, what they should do, what government is doing. So first of all, again, thanks a lot for giving us an opportunity, Mr. Chakraborty and team. And now coming
Thank you.
to the question that you have asked, and the sentence that you have started with, the security normally gives us an idea that the Indian Army, or any, we have Air Force and Navy, so they are protecting the border areas. But in today's time, the things has moved forward, and we have realized that security is not restricted to securing the borders only. There are things which are directly affecting our life, the life of the citizen. Now, if we talk about national critical infrastructure, there are certain infrastructure which are helping us day in and out, which are actually the support system of our livelihood. Like in today's time, we just can't, imagine a couple of days without telecommunication system. So our whole life is uh, so much dependent on the mobile, be it for booking a cab, ordering food, or running our day-to-day operations, running office in pandemic situation, connectivity and all. So this communication is a infrastructure. If it is considered as a national critical infrastructure, then it is very easy for everyone to understand why it is critical. Because if it goes down, or any adverse impact comes on it, so then the life of citizens will have some impact. Similarly, if you look at the financial sector, if some impact happens, we have seen a lot of cases of financial frauds and these stuff are happening. People are losing out their hard-earned money. But these are very smaller incidences. But if something happens that we end up losing a certain amount of money, or it's not a money losing, say the currencies that are being used by the citizens of India, if the design of those currencies, someone get access from any neighbor country or some extremist group, and they start producing the fake currencies that is being adverse impact on the economy of the country. Similarly, the transportation system, the railway signaling system, with such a big network, we can always imagine, for God's sake, it should never happen that teams are working. If for a couple of minutes in a particular region, if all signals become green, we can imagine what kind of catastrophic accident it would lead to. So, and everything will bring an impact on the life of the citizens or the interest of the citizens. So, those infrastructure, healthcare, we understood, in a very bitter way through this pandemic that how critical the health sector is. So, there are seven sectors identified in India as a national critical infrastructure. The criteria has been having on any impact on them will cause considerable adverse stuff on the citizens of India. Those seven sectors so far identified as a national critical infrastructure, as you said, power and energy. We can understand how important the safety of the grids are. We have experienced a very fatal attack in the month of October last year on Mumbai power grid. Lots of activities are going on. So, a huge team relentlessly working to protect all this critical infrastructure, and those infrastructures are known as national critical infrastructure. So, having any impact on them, we will either have impact on national safety, national security, national economy, or public health, or both of them. So these are paramount objective of government of India to protect in order to make the life of citizens safe and secure. Over to you, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Datta. I think now I will switch over to Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, I would like to know what are the sectors considered as nationally critical? If you could kindly explain in detail.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I would like to thank to invite me for this webinar. So I would like to mention that there are seven sectors, as Sagar Datta have told. So first critical sector is banking, financial services, and insurance. In this sector, all the private, public banks and its authority, controlling authority also come. So in this sector, the core component CII, critical information infrastructure, is their business processes. Because if any business processes fail, then it will impact completely on national economy. So in this banking sector, the core infrastructure is business processes and their underlying infrastructure. Second major sector is transport sector. Transport sector mainly the main entity of this sector is railway, air travels, third ship, and metros. So in this component, the major core CII is their controlling system, like in air traffic, their controlling system to control the air traffic. This is the critical part. If it fails, then all traffic will be jammed. Similarly, in railway, the control system is to maintain the traffic of railway system. Similarly, in metro also. So the critical system is controlling system in transport system. Third is government sector. Under government sector, all the government, state government, central government agency comes. So in this government, the critical core CII is their databases, because in these databases, all the critical information resides. So here we have to protect these data centers. Fourth is strategic and public public service SPU. So in this all the public sectors like BEL, ISRO, PAR comes. So here the CII depends means what type of PSU is there. If ISRO is there, then different type of CII is there. If BEL is there, then different type of CII. So here OT and IT mix. Now, fifth is power and energy sector. It is very, very critical sector as the Thagas have told today. So in this sector, it covers generation also, transmission also, and distribution also. All three components is required. And the core CII in this sector is SCADA, supervisory control and data acquisition, because SCADA is controlling remotely all the transmission also, generation also, and distribution also. So we have to manage the security of SCADA. And last not least is health sector. Nowadays you know that health sector is more vulnerable for cyber attack. All the attack is happening on health sector to take the formula of different solution for different medical solution. So the labs in in health sector is very, very critical. So we have to save this lab. So these are the seven critical infrastructure, and I have explained that what is core CII in this all the sector. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. I was wondering, can you please elaborate as a specific sector is compromised can bring adverse impact on national interest?
Yes, sir.
Specific sector.
Yes, sir, sir. Sir, there are, I think, all the sector, if we will compromise, then it will have impact on national security, economy, public health, and public safety. So, if I take some case study, like first case study, telecom sector. In telecom sector, sir, as you know, that now mobile is very critical for all of us. Nowadays, all the work which is completed from laptop or workstation are being done from their mobile. So mobile is very critical. Now all the hacker or national actor target their mobile so that they can take all the critical information from their mobile. So how this attack process I would like to explain. So it will be very interesting for all of us. First of all, they do campaigning, means they find their targets. Like there are 100 and Android or 100 Android or other target, Apple target. But they will find who is more vulnerable, or who have vulnerability. So they will send link to their to them or through SMS or WhatsApp or email, because we can open email from phone also. So then when the person will click this link, then this link will compromise this link will find out that vulnerability and compromise their handset. Now the agent will be installed and all the complete information will be passed through command and control center. Now command and control will see that information is relevant or not, or how many long our agent should be persistent in that mobile. Accordingly, they will control all the handset, and the agent will escalate the privilege power and will have full flash control on your mobile. Now, I would like to add here that it is very critical because there is a one incident when one person have compromised their mobile, but it was not so. It was not so have much more information, but he goes to several important meetings. So when their mobile phone was compromised. So when he is going to different meetings, so they on their camera and speaker and intercepting all the information of meetings. So I would like to say that security is not only the concern of one. If all are secure, then we can say that yes, we are secure. So as I mentioned that this is the mainly telecommunication, how telecommunication mobile is compromised and all the information are taken by hacker or national activity. Similarly, if I would like to say that banking sector, now the banking sector are much more affected with ransom virus, because you know that in banking all the all the information or data is very critical, because if this data loss, so bank cannot say their user that how much transaction or how much money they have. So in ransomware, mainly this is also same type. If you compromise, then your all the data will be encrypted. Then they will ask for some ransomware. If you will not pay, then their data will be either deleted or they will sell out somewhere else. So definitely, if you so definitely they have to pay some money through Bitcoin or something. So that type of attack is happening in nowadays, and to mitigate these attacks, we have to take some very stringent action. Like first, we have to take data backup on very regular basis, so that if ransomware or these type of attack here, we can install the data again. Second, we have to adopt two-side verification, two-way verification, two-channel verification. Because if one channel is compromised, so other channel will be okay, and we will not we will be safe. Like in Gmail or other mail ID, we should always use two-way authentication, so that if our mail will be compromised, so if they open our mail through password, so we can know that yes, it will not open because they want OTP also. So we should adopt two-way authentication. And third is that we should always avoid any clicking, any phishing mail from unauthorized person. And here we would like to add a one very interesting thing. Nowadays, as you know that all are saying that don't open mail from any unwanted person. But nowadays, what is happening? They are first targeting some other, and through them they are sending mail. So you think, oh, this is my friend, and you click. So always think that from where it mail is coming and it is relevant or not. Then after full assurance, you should click any link. And last, not least, please don't install any third-party software which you don't have. If only registered third-party software should be installed. Here in this country or all over world, nothing is free. So if anyone is providing some free software, so they are making something to you. So be secure, never install any free software. So these procedure we have to follow to mitigate these type of cyber attack in our critical structure, because critical structure is a duty for all of us. If we will save, then if one person can, all have to save this thing. It is like a ring. It is like a chain. Chain have number of rings. If one rings will be break, then this complete chain cannot work. So we have to make our ring very strong, so that this chain will be strong and can support the complete country. Thank you. Over to you.
Mr. Datta, would you like to add something on this?
Yes, whatever Piyush has said, on top of that, I would like to say a very simple thing that this is an ecosystem. And in an ecosystem, every component has to contribute from their respective areas. Like in our day-to-day operations, we cannot say what kind of dependencies that we are having on one particular infrastructure or one particular service. It could be, as you was mentioning, the bank. The bank is a financial institution, but for its operational ease, it has dependencies on power, it has dependencies on communications. Similarly, if you look at the communications also have dependencies on different other sections like transportation and maybe power energy and whatnot. So, to be very precise, that there are certain things, good practices of taking backup, as you correctly said, that multi-factor authentication, and some of the do's and don'ts. It's always good, the fundamental hygiene. However, from the national perspective, little more of mature approach is expected, and the responsibility is majorly on the government sector, because they are the parent entity and they set the rules and policies. So, if we take any of the sectors, he has mentioned about the telecom sector, but if you look at the uh, power and energy sector, it has three distinct units of activity. One particular component generates power. The generation, then we know we have transmission, then distribution. But these three functions, whenever we consider any of the power utility, we need to understand that how the whole thing is working and what are the components where the organization is having their sole responsibility and where they have dependencies on the third party. Because all learned participants, they interact with different stakeholders. All information are available in open source, and if we analyze any of the past attacks, we see that the supply chain contamination has been one of the key contributors to any of the major attacks that we have had in recent past. Because if you look at the financial sector, they have different dependencies on the third parties. If someone is willing to have a loan from a bank, some third party goes for a verification. If a financial system is facilitating some alternate delivery channel to help the customer to have the money deposited or withdrawn at their ease, so they have dependencies on third parties, maybe some part of ATM operation, some part of provisioning the collaterals and other stuff like check printing. So informations are very critical and which are being accessed, handled and managed by different stakeholders, and in some of the cases all of them may not be the direct owner of the information. So in such scenario, the main thing is we need to have a better visibility on the whole landscape. So nowadays we talk about the SOC, SOC. Why do we need a SOC? Because in normal operation we all know that what is going beyond our visibility it's a gray area. So SOC always give us a clear visibility. We get to know to a very good correlation putting in place to the SIA that what is going on. It helps us to trigger flag and any minor deviation to the normal. Similarly, in the business processes, as you was mentioning, there needs to be a good governance, and those governance can only be taken into a place where you will find the contribution of the business houses, be it a bank, be it a power sector organization, be it a telecommunication organization, and they are being governed by the regulators like the RBI, like the TRAI for the insurance, IRDI. So they are relentlessly working with the customers, the government to understand the policy expectations. They are analyzing the past incidents and the operational challenges, and this is that they are coming up with the new SOPs, new mandates and guidelines. And in this particular chain of activity, it is very important that we all organizations should come up and report their incidents, past incidents, or the vulnerabilities that they have come across in recent past to the concerned agencies, so that they can incorporate all of them as an input whenever they are trying to formulate any policy or whenever they are trying to adopt any technology. Because adaptation of right technology at right point is very important. We end up adopting technology where the system is not matured enough and it makes the whole thing vulnerable. So all these things require a handshaking between or among so many stakeholders, the users, the responsible entities as an organization, the government, different forum and chamber of commerce, that the information from different sources should come. Then government can take a call that those information where they are collected from, they are being processed, stored and passed on to the other stakeholders, then the underlying infrastructure is secured enough from any adverse incident or any attack from any or any other countries or any nation state attack, better to say. So, if I can give you an example, if a power distribution agency fails to operate as it was supposed to be, then so many organizations in current scenario, if our city is out of power for 2 days, you can well imagine what kind of scenario that will be. The hospitals will be powerless, the whole thing will be a massacre. Similarly, the power distribution agencies are getting power through the transmission agencies. So we need to protect them, and what all activities are going on that need to be looked at. And a lot of agencies, government agencies, have requested Dr. Sharma to present that what all government of India agencies are working as a security contributor, where a lot of resources are required. Young Star will request Young Star to look at that, come forward. There are plenty of opportunities of field of cyber security they can come, contribute, and join. Maybe due course of time we'll try to put more light on this. Over to you, Mr. Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Mr. Datta, for giving a very clear idea as to what exactly should be done in case of finance and power sector. And I was wondering that whether might so happen that you may have a different kind of scenarios, regarding the finance and the power sector. Is it possible to talk about something on the healthcare front? I would request both Dr. Sharma and Mr. Datta to say something on the healthcare front, which, as you know, is a very, very important segment at this point of time. So, if you could kindly tell us that if there is anything that can be done in the healthcare sector.
Sure. One specific example that I would like to give here, that we all normally go to any testing agency, healthcare agency, to do any blood test or any other test being done as prescribed by the physician, and we get a report from the diagnostics lab, either through email or through the SMS or something. But a copy of the report remains with them, and if those biological report get agencies or the agencies and collecting analytical reports of an entire analyzing the data can help the expert group to plan and biological attack. They get to know that this region of the country, the citizens are susceptible to this kind of chemical attack and biological attack. So how those reports, basically the information, are being captured, stored, securely handled, and disposed of after a certain amount of agreeable time.
We will have a separate question answer session. You can ask questions then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Secondly, if you look at any critical operational procedure when a patient is admitted and his reports and other information are coming through the hospital management system from one point to the bedside, if some of the data gets changed while passing on from one point to another point, and the doctor will get an erroneous result, and he will start treating the patient from for the basis of that particular result, but that may lead to health hazard for the patient. So these are the smaller components to be mentioned at this forum, that at every point of the existence of a critical sector, we need to ensure that information and the underlying infrastructure is protected from any kind of attack, be it a cyber attack, terrorist attack, physical destruction, or whatever it could be.
Mr. Sharma, Dr. Sharma, would you like to add anything?
Yeah. Targets have told very well. I would like to add that not only formulas, the hospital, it will totally depend on the electricity. So for 5 or 10 minutes electricity is not available in that hospital, then patient may be die or very critical. So this hospital is help sector is very critical and totally and depend on other sector also. So we have to take more care. That is why first sixth sector was included, but the seventh sector was added after this all the incident. That yes, health sector is also very important now and future also. So we are more concentrating on this sector also. And lot of attack is happening as we have seen that in USA, lot of attack is happening in hospital also. So it is very vulnerable. So I think that we are considering this sector as a very vulnerable and very important, and we are doing work on that. Thank you.
Okay. So now I would like to ask you what government is doing in order to protect the national critical infrastructure. If you could kindly explain in detail.
Yes, sir, sir. Sir, to explain this or to give answer, I have a one presentation. So if you allow, I will start this presentation. In this presentation, I will explain that what government is doing and
Okay.
how what a role of NCIPC and how it is helping.
Okay. Okay. You can go ahead. No problem.
So presentation visual.
Yes.
Okay, sir. So, sir, first of all, I would like to explain what critical structure, what is critical structure. So, sir, as first are first is Indian cyberspace. Here, all the components related to cyber come. Now, this critical sector is a subset of this cyberspace. In this critical sector, mainly sense seven sector, which we have explained comes. In this seventh sector, there are some CII means critical information infrastructure. Like I have explained that in telecommunication, critical infrastructure is their database, government is database, some energy and power sector, it is SCADA. So these all are critical information infrastructure. We have to protect these infrastructure. So here NCIPC created. NCIPC is created through Information IT Act 2000, in which central government designated NCIPC as national agency to protect the CII, all the CII. So NCIPC, which is mainly formed to protect the CII, the main mission of NCIPC is to take all the necessary measures to facilitate protection of critical information infrastructure from unauthorized access, modification, use, disclosure, disruption, encapsulation, or distraction through coherent coordination, synergy, and raising information security awareness among all the stakeholders. So what, first of all, I would like to say what NCIPC doing. So NCIPC is also government organization. So what government is doing, so it can come from here. Then I will explain other organization what it is. So first of all, the main NCIPC work is to provide tailored alter advisories. Means we have designed our advisory as per sector wise. If we are sending some advisory power and energy sector. So it is altered for them also so that they can be utilized. It is not general. Similarly, we have established one NSEC which do threat intelligence analysis and disseminate and take the input from all the peripheral device which is, and then basis on analysis they create some threat intelligence and discrimination to all our stakeholders. Second, we make cyber critical management plan CCMP so that all the critical sector can continue 24/7 without any disruption. And we also do vulnerability threat risk analysis for of the cyber architecture of our stakeholders. We do analysis of logs. If someone have some incident, then they report us. Then they report, and we do analysis. They sharing their logs, and we have number of other work also. We do R&D training to our stakeholders so they can educate it and they can do their security themselves. Now, sir, as you are asking, that what government are doing. So here we think that government have created number of organizations to handle particular case, so that nobody can escape, no stone can be unturned. So here, like under PMO we have created two, three designs. Some is technical, pure technical. Some is doing some different type of, but all work is doing that to provide cyber security, like NSC, NTRO, NCIIPC, Joint Intelligence, RNDW, MAC, NIB. These all have their both duties, technical also and non-technical also, and they are doing work in cyber also. Similarly, in Ministry of Home Affairs, there is a National Cyber Coordination Center (NCC), DFL, Directorate of Forensic Science. Third is NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority. CFSL, Center Forensic Science Lab, to forensic of all the devices. Now Intelligence Bureau have also their cyber wing. Now DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. Similarly, Ministry of Defense have different intelligence, all three wings: Army, Navy, Air Force, and Triad Services also there. They have DRDO also, DIRA also, to do analysis on cyber component. Now similarly, MIT or MCIT have also different organizations to work, like DIT, DOT, CERT, ARNet, NIC, CDAC, STPC. So these organizations are working in different organizations, different component of cyber, because cyber is a very vast subject. There is a lot of components, so we have to capture all the components so that we can save ourselves. So all central government have assigned the task to all government, so that there is no duplicacy. All are working different. Now, sir, after that, I would like to explain that what scenario are going in worldwide, means what type of attack are doing. So we NCIPC have done some static analysis for last 1 year. So I would like to present that statics. Now these statics are divided into four components. Like first is attack wise. Now how attack wise, which type of attack is happening, and what is the percentage of that attack. So first malware is 57. Now it is all the attack is totally based on malware. Then social engineering 31%, then hacking 21%, then web attack 17%, then credential compliance 14%. Similarly, if we go different statistics, so this is sector wise. Here you can see that more vulnerable sector is government sector, because government have lot of information, lot of credential. So all hacker or anti-national actor always attack government sector. Now third is motivation type. What is the main motivation behind any cyber attack? So main is that to access to information. Mainly want to take access information, because now information is all this thing. So main motive access of information. Then second number financial profit. Then do normal for cyber warfare. Now fourth and last, target wise, who is more being targeted. So infrastructure means whatever CII comes in mainly infrastructure, critical information infrastructure. So these are targeted of all the 7 sectors. So as you see, then web browsing, then individual users comes, and then mobile devices come, then IoT comes. So main infrastructure of all critical sectors. Now, sir, here I would like to mention the future security trend. So, this is very important for all the students, that where they can focus. So, these are the 7 latest technologies on which all are working. Like first is secure access services, security architecture, zero trust network access technology, so that nobody can trust and component will be checked their authenticity. Third is extended detection and response system for AI-driven digital businesses. Fifth, hardware authentication, and last, automated and adaptive networks. These are latest technology on which is required for better cyber security. Now, these are the steps which during the presentation we have told that what step we should follow to mitigate any cyber attack. Now, last is that NCIPC is have some thought. They believe that if we are educating our students properly or young age properly, then our cyber security will be well in advance. So we work on these three thoughts. First, align academic to the future expectation. Second, prepare student for the new roles. And third and last, empower student to be self-sufficient in tracking employment demand. So for that, you can see on our NCITC website, we have created three individual portal. First, incident reporting, vulnerability disclosure. Second and third is malware reporting. Any person from any organization or any student can, if he has capability to find somewhere, to find some malware or some vulnerability in any website, he can give their findings here. So we will give them credit also, and we can include us also as an intern. So we have a lot of facility for them. So and lot of students are doing reporting incident here. We verify that and we provide credit to them. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. Thank you very much. Now we all have a fairly good idea, and I think probably I can ask Mr. Datta if he can kindly tell us what is NCIITC's role. We have understand what the government is doing in order to protect national critical infrastructure, as explained by Dr. Sharma, as explained by Dr. Sharma. Now we would like to know the exact role of NCIIT. Can you please help us?
Sure. Now, all the critical sector organization, they might not have the necessary skill set or the infrastructure to combat the ongoing advanced attacks which are being targeted on them. So HIPC is having a very advanced cybersecurity analytics law center rather, where they are analyzing traffic of all critical information infrastructure, and they are trying to help the critical infrastructure to understand what is going on beyond their visibility, or if any critical sector organization is suffering from any resource related issue with respect to the understanding or technicality. So we help them to upskill them, reskill them. We get directly into the process of their risk assessment, because organizations normally do their risk assessment from their own context, but we have a greater visibility on the national perspective what is going on, and we help them to bring all these in the platter of their discussion table. We participate in the cybersecurity or information security steering committee meeting. Moreover, that for any particular procurement, if they are going for a procurement of a very critical hardware component, they may not be aware that the hardware manufacturer may have a tie-up with another organization which is not from a very friendly company, and the overall operations may have a backdoor created with them. So those intelligence we share with the critical sector organization. We keep analyzing, we keep doing vulnerability assessment of their infrastructure with a larger dedicated team from NCIPC. We share them that these are the vulnerabilities which are there. On top of that, every critical sector organization is governed by some of the regulators. They need to comply with some of the laws, some of the mandates. So we help them with the advisory and support that how they can comply their business operation, what all change they can bring in. Moreover, it is a very good opportunity for the organization to be associated with the government, to understand what the government is thinking, what is the expectation from the government side from the respective areas. So NCIPC is actually giving a customized, tailor-made advisory support, state, kind of we are doing state hunting, state intelligence, feed to them, so that they can use the whole thing for the betterment of their security infrastructure. Apart from this, all organizations in the critical sector, they are suffering from different operations level challenges. They are suffering from not having proper security staff at place. So what we are doing, we are doing the field study, we are taking the field from those organizations, the pain areas, and those are in a through a forum. We are formulating the new guidelines. There are certain areas we do not have, we are yet to have the proper laws in place to take necessary action, where we are bringing interim guidelines to eliminate the scope of being attacked. So those are two things I must say. But the National Security Analytics Center is one of its kind, where there are possibilities, there are facilities where we are doing sandboxing different attacks, we are analyzing them, and we are telling the critical sector infrastructure that your organization is susceptible to this kind of attack. You are currently having this kind of attack. Please look at them. If you fail to take necessary corrective action, we come up with a solution. Why don't you take this step? It is no, as per your capability, or let us know our skill set are there, the skill resources are available to consult with, so that you can take necessary corrective action or preventive action.
Okay. Are you planning to make any PowerPoint presentation for that?
No such presentation, but what I would say that in the IT Act 2008 amendment, the section 70A has formed NCIPC and section 70B has formed CERT-in. So these two organizations work hand in hand. NCIPC's responsibility is to proactively, ensure the security of the critical infrastructure. So, and the sorting is, actually coming into place when any organization is under attack, how they should respond it, and how they can minimize the impact of the attack. So the only request on behalf of both these organizations through this forum, that any organization is having any difficulties, any challenges, any incident that they have had, please keep sharing with these two organizations. These two organizations are the two wings of Government of India to protect the entire cyberspace, and it is directly under the PMO, as we say, that in any policy level requirement, any support, any infrastructural support, anything that goes to the apex body, this through these two organizations, and you can actually get the result at a quickest possible time.
Okay. Dr. Sharma, would you like to add anything to this?
Tathagat, you have done well and you have completed. You give all the information.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. I just want to ask one more question. I think both of you can answer. Is there any legal enforcement for the same? Any legal enforcement that is currently in place?
Yeah. So the critical sector organizations, they are normally regulated by the respective regulators. If you consider the BFSI sector, they are primarily, if you consider banks, they are regulated by RBI. Now, RBI, they have released time and again different mandates or guidelines to protect different functions and operations. There are master cybersecurity guidelines which are released in 2016, which is basically a framework. Apart from that, they have released different mandates for security, ensuring security in the street transactions, the ATM transactions, ATM security. So those are the mandates of regulator, and NCIPC on top of that as a nodal entity, they are working as a watchdog, or they are ensuring that all these organizations are actually following them up. Non-fulfillment of the requirement always leads to the legal consequences, and legal consequences have a dependency on the nature of act. There are different sections of IT Act applicable, of not disclosing information at the point of time, occurrence of cyber incident due to negligence and which may lead to the loss of money or other interest of the end user. All these will have very strict legal consequences as per the different sections of the law.
Okay, okay. Now, Mr. Doctor, as I understand that NCIIPC is working very closely with the Prime Minister's office, as you have mentioned. My question is this: that there must be some guidelines or maybe a roadmap in the days to come where I think you can throw some light for the student community. Yeah, you know that CSI is primarily an organization where we have a very strong database of academicians and students, mainly from the computer science and IT sector. Now, they normally what happens is this: once they pass out from their institute, they select various disciplines and become specialized in a particular area, in their respective areas. My question is this: that NCIIPC, do they have any such initiative whereby the student community can gain immensely? Mr.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Chakravarti, if you can consider life in the year 2012-13, we can see we have comparatively much more lesser dependency on the cyberspace, right? If I'm taking example of 2012-13, Government of India in 2013 first released National Cyber Security Policy, and that policy clearly says at that point of time, India required 5 lakhs trained cyber warriors. That means they are not the base level cyber operator or security analyst. They should be a very skilled cyber warrior. And the number required stated in 2013 was 5 lakhs. And now you can see in due course of time, today the dependency on the cyberspace has gone through a sea change. Now the whole life is they are fully dependent on the cyberspace. And we can well imagine where this number has gone through. Now the requirement is maybe you know uh, 25 to 30 lakhs a requirement, but we are not getting that amount of resources available in the particular space. So to address this particular area, NCIPC is actually facilitating students. They are inviting them to come forward and do as a internship engagement. So NCIPC is actually welcoming interns. They are supposed to carry a recommendation letter from their college at the institute head saying that this is what all they have learned with the profile and this is all their aspiration is what they have done so far. This is that we conduct an interview and they get selected as an intern. We have a well-defined process. This is number one. Number two, as you here say, that here we have a program called vulnerability disclosure. Any aspirant, any cyber enthusiast who have somehow identified any vulnerability on any of the web portal or any infrastructure or any component of the cyberspace, they can directly report it to the NCIPC. The reporting norms, the addresses, the portal are given in the website at www.ncipc.gov.in. They can go and post their findings. The Government of India will do an reassessment, rectification of the report, and if they found the vulnerabilities are actually there, then we normally, greet them, we acknowledge them. There is a process of felicitating them. We publish their name in the newsletter that gets circulated among many of the countries outside India. And if someone is very eager to do any kind of research and all, as an intern, if they can show their skill, we can also engage them in some of the projects where they will get an exposure to the life scenario is huge. The power sector, the transport, the banking, the team is working with the core of things. We all have seen a very popular movie 2 3 years back called Yuri. So in the film Yuri, we have seen, at the time of launching an attack, so how a technical team of Government of India worked behind. So the young fellow got a chance to come up with his invention. So these are the centers working behind the scene. We are dealing with the young staff. If any talent, any skill is welcome, they just feel free to come forward. They can interact. They can reach out to us. We have a well-defined procedure to interact with them, assess their capability, and place them at an appropriate place as it fit into the protocol of the government of India.
Okay, I think all the participants, the student community who are present here, they must have heard you, and I'm sure that in the coming days, they will definitely try to avail the facilities that is offered by NCIITC. And in case, I'm sure that you are helping the student community a lot. In case
Sure.
there is any such specific requirement, you can definitely talk to them or you can probably help them.
So
So,
they are welcome to come to you because it may not be possible to respond to hundred of people, but if you can jot down a query or some of the things of 50 60 odd number of students, then Computer Society of India can come to NCIPC. We can have something. In some of the places we host hackathon, we create situation where people come up, they participate, and they excel, and they get a larger perspective, they get a national perspective. Basically, they're contributing to the national security, and anyone and everyone is welcome. There is no age, nothing.
and you also offer a Government of India certificate to all the students, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that is going to help them a lot because they want to shape their career in the coming days. The government certification is always, it will be an extra age for them. Okay. So
Correct.
I think we have almost come to the close of the session. What I would like to do, I would like to keep the floor open for 10 minutes for question answer session. I'm sure lot many people have raised questions, but I would request them to kindly put your voice and ask questions to the two speakers. Okay? So one by one you can start asking questions. The floor is now open.
One point, Mr. Chakravarti, here, as he said, that some of the question, it depends on the type of nature of question. You may take offline because we are abide by certain protocols. Some of the answers we may not be allowed to respond in the public, and those who are allowed as per the policy and process, we are here to respond back, and the rest of them they can reach out separately and we can respond offline. So over to you and open to session.
Okay,
The floor.
okay. I think we got what you want to convey. I'm sure everybody has heard that. So any questions? I think some of you have posted few questions, and in case you are interested to raise your voice, please feel free to ask questions.
Sir, I have one question.
Please carry on.
Yeah, in our BTech CSE syllabus, there is one subject called cyber security, cyber law and security policy. So we teach students that course content. Now, how to enhance their skill set during this course so that they can be a part of this national cyber warrior team? Because some of my students are very interested to join that team.
Mr. Datta, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, very much, madam. Very good question, and let me tell you one thing that uh, real life scenario always opens up the different perspective. Whatever they are learning from learned professors like you or your colleagues, uh, this is something is very important. They should create their foundation. However, any industry people or in input from any government officials who are actually dealing with the national staff, you can always welcome them for their session. They can bring the live scenarios. They can align them with their curriculum so that they can start relating them. Number one. Number two, someone needs to go and tell them what are the prospects, what are the areas of work. If someone is doing his or her BTech, he or she should have the option, the choices to know that he or she can explore his or her career in the security of power and energy sector. He or she can do specialization in the sector in signal related security, but every component is actually contributing to the national interest. And fundamental security stuff are same, but the specialization would definitely give them an additional edge to have a great career. So those things, I think, alignment with the national aspect of the security, the, the both army, navy, air force, and the fourth part has become the cyber, because the cyber has dependency on all these three and separately of its own kind. So those real life scenario or use cases you can incorporate in your curriculum that may increase the interest of the student fraternity.
Thank you very much, because I can see some of my students are already attending it. So I think they can spread this information to their community, and this is really helpful. Thank
To,
you.
to add on here, that we are also collaborating with some of the premium institutions where we are doing joint research. We are helping them with the infrastructure of the input from the national perspective. There are some MTech students of some premium institutions. Some of the institutions, they're sending a group of students, or our analysts are going there. It's a kind of collaboration. Those are also possible. So a request needs to come from the institution to the NCITC, stating that what is the objective, what kind of curriculum they had been through during their program, what they have learned, what is the aspiration, whether they want to explore their career in the area of, cyber forensic. So what they have done so far, what all exposure they have had so far. So basis that things can be taken forward, maybe in the form of a collaboration. Maybe a group of students can be incorporated in one of our R&D wing. Those things are also available.
Okay. I think the information where to apply and all these things are available in your website. I haven't
Yeah,
checked it. Yeah.
yeah. You can go to www.ncitc.gov.in. This is the website, or you can reach out to us. Our contacts are available in this CSI, and
Oh,
is happy to guide the institution, because the students are the future and they can also come and contribute towards building a very strong cyber warrior, group of cyber warriors, which is very badly needed at this point of time.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have a CSI local chapter, student chapter in our college, so I think we can connect through them also.
Please, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam, you are from which institution?
NCW Institute of Engineering.
Okay, in CAB. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, take that. Okay, no issue. And if some of your students are interested to ask you questions, they are most welcome.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Would you have some practical how to know the role of capital?
Now
You
you
are
are
not audible.
almost
We
inaudible.
cannot hear you. You are not audible.
You please drop a text. Will respond to your query.
Anybody else? Anybody else would like to ask you questions?
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. Just introduce yourself and go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so just let me give one final last information which may help the student fraternity, that in today's time we need more and more cyber analysts. But cyber analysts also have a knowledge of networking, applications, database, and all. I request all of you to focus on the fundamental stuff that you are learning, and the core requirement is to have a correct approach towards looking an incident, because tools, techniques, and strategies all are there, but to have the correct strategy to respond or to have a correct strategy to avoid is very important. And taking a correct approach can always help you. But what you should do, that you should be very focused on your aspiration, and you should know that the components that you have learned so far, there should not be any gaps. If your background is from networking, you should have a solid understanding of the IP, the distribution, the networking, the routing, how things happen. If you are from an application background, you should know what all the best coding practice to be adopted. And when you start interacting with your peers, someone from networking, someone from the database side, someone from the application, then you will see how you can shake your hand and as a team come up with a very good cyber resilient code. And to be a very successful cybersecurity aspirant, your senses like eyes, ears, and all should be very much open, and you should have a capability of coordinating stuff and taking a correct decision with the basis of facts. So these are the few things I'd like to add. If we get a chance to interact in some other occasion, we'll definitely explore areas like SCADA, what are the components that we should know, because OT is okay, but now OT we utter OT very casually, but having a proper knowledge of OT is very important. We'll get a chance, and we'll definitely show you how things are going on from the national perspective.
Uh, Dr. Mr. D.P. Sinha, Mr. Rajpal, Mr. Pradeep Mukherjee, and some of our seniors who are present in this particular deliberation, would you like to ask your question?
I am D.P. Sinha. Can I?
Yes, please.
Yes, when you talk about this criticality of information infrastructure in the cyberspace, is there any metric about the to determine the criticality of information, and more so in these days when all the personalized information are equally focused and critical? That's our question number one. And second one, in recent years, have you found any new areas other than the seven sectors which you can identify and redefine critical areas?
Yes, sir. So, there are well-defined criteria and matrices through which the criticalities are identified or measured. The extent of impact that will bring on the national interest is one of the criteria, because if you consider that it is a power sector company, disruption will bring impact on what how big the area will be under the impact. If that particular entity is catering to some other critical sector like the airport, maybe some other critical infrastructure, so what will be the impact on the national interest? So there are some well-defined criteria being used to define the criticality of them. And from identifying the newer stuff, this is an ongoing activity. So we have a bucket called strategic public enterprises. So strategic public enterprises incorporate different organizations, as you mentioned in his earlier part. So if the particular type of industry is coming up as a more lucrative target of the adverse cyber attack, then we keep additional emphasis on them. Otherwise, recently the health sector has been added as a critical sector, but we are keeping eye on 14 sectors. There are critical sectors which
water
are
resources, dam वगैरह. these
Yes.
are the now coming
So
critical
these
sector.
these are under purview, but the apex focus is on so far those seven sectors as we have mentioned, and government is having a paramount focus on those those seven sectors as of now. But what is going on, sir?
Thank you very much.
Tell us.
Anybody else?
Pradeep Mukhopadhyay here.
Good
Yes,
evening,
Mr.
sir.
Mukhopadhyay. Please,
In
please carry on.
Namaskar. Just wanted to know this, in IoT, we use lot many sensors.
Right,
And in most of the sensors, I think the passwords are hard coded.
right. Yes,
So there remains a challenge that once the hard coded passwords are there in the sensors, that means that is a little bit vulnerable.
right.
How can we, consider this, or how can we take care of
Okay. Sir, it's a very good question and well expected from a senior leader like you. I would like to respond to your query that there are ICS, industrial control system, and other equipment which are in operation for quite some time, and the maintenance and the upkeeping of those units are actually being done by the manufacturer or other third parties, and they are tied up with a very long term contracts. So what are being done today that we are coming up with a guideline to how you can restructure the existing contract, how you can have your current contract drafted, documented, and signed, because until unless we bring legality into it, it will be very difficult to bring control, because technological advancement has its own piece of working, but there are dependencies on legacy system as well. So changing the whole infrastructure overnight is a challenge. So for the power sector or energy sector, there are different forums working together. There are IMA, there are Indian Smart Grid Forum, IPPAI, NCIPC jointly working to find out the key areas, key pain areas. Like one of them you have mentioned, there are labs which are being used to assess how to do all this stuff, how we can do away with the dependencies on the manufacturer or the third party in days to come. And the areas where we find that it is challenge, we are suggesting them to adopt compensatory control to eliminate the possibilities of cyber attack.
it was just, an idea just came to my mind is that,
Sure.
we have EEPROM, electrically erasable PROMs.
Right.
So if we can have some such a mechanism where we can have electrically erasable PROMs either at the sensor side or at the controller side, from where we can, by using software, we can change this password as per our own, requirement. And maybe after every 3 months or 6 months, we can change this password, which will be more protective way of operations. Maybe, if
Sir,
not it is now, maybe it may come later.
the point well noted, sir. The researches and activities are going on in our lab, but in some of the cases, the critical sector organizations are abide by the contract with the manufacturer, and the contract resist them to do any changes. So a parallel focus given on redrafting the contract, changing the contract, having a new contract where we have more control on the whole thing. Because as of now, the contracts are like a very generic contract. We are having very lesser possibility for legal enforcement or making any changes. The contracts are more of a hard coded. Hence, the suggestion that you have made, there are other things we are working in our lab incorporated. The task has started, and I hope in days to come we'll be able to eliminate some of the pain areas as mentioned by you. But thank you for your input, sir.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? If there is no other question, then I will declare this session as closed. I must thank, before we close this session formally, I must thank both the speakers, Dr. Sharma and Mr. Datta, for giving their valuable time. And you have given some excellent inputs. This is exactly what we are trying to understand from the Government of India. And you've been working closely with the Prime Minister's office. So the government perspective is very, very important for us to know. And I think you have rightly given the perspective in a better shape, and you have made us understand that what the government is thinking currently at this point of time. The critical infrastructure the sectors that you have pointed out, I think many people are not aware of it, and I'm sure that after this presentation, what we have seen today, many people will start thinking in that particular direction also. So, with these few words, I would like to end this session with a very big thanks to both the speakers, all participants who have registered for this event, as well as who have participated in this event. And I must also thank all my committee members for giving me complete support in organizing this particular event. With these few words, I declare this session as closed. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bobby. If you are looking for certificates, please send a one-line email to csical@gmail.com, giving your institution name and your participation in time, so that we can issue our e-certificates to you. Those of you who are interested to get e-certificates, those who have joined, not that those who have registered, but those who have joined, they can send a one-line emailer, and we will send the e-certificates to you, giving complete details about your
please
name
say that
and
again.
CSI
Which mail?
at gmail.com.
It's a mail ID, please.
csical@gmail.com.
Okay, sir.
Very simple.
message box में put कर दीजिए ना.
Yes, that's right. Orco has written correctly. Orco, you can share them. Yes.
By when certificate will be provided, sir?
We have to provide our name along with our institution's name. That's right.
Yes, you have to mention now, because you have registered, you have joined this event, and when you have joined this event, you have joined for a particular institution. So that is also very important. But if somebody has joined after 5:10 or 5:15, they will not get certificates, because if they are joining late, say around 5:30 or 6, we cannot expect certificates.
The name and institution name.
Yes.
And also, sir, where can we see the recap of this session? Like the PPTs and all.
You see
Can
the
that be
problem-
available on the CSI?
Actually, the problem is this. Let me tell you, the problem is this. This NCII is a very sensitive department, and they work very closely with the government of India, and they belong to. We are part of the PMO's office. So no information. They have told us categorically that we cannot share any information with you. So I'm sorry that we will not be able to share the PowerPoint presentations with you. In fact, we do not have that also.
Okay, sir. No problem. Thank you for the session.
You
Sir,
are
can you
from
please
which
repeat the email,
institution?
please, sir?
Hello.
Can you please repeat the email, sir, please, sir?
It is there now. Obi has written csical@gmail.com.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay. You must have received the confirmation link and everything. It has come from csical@gmail.com. You can use that particular email.
Okay, sir, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.